Racism, by simple definition, is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or an institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. Though not incorrect, this definition fails to take into account how deep and personal racism gets, how real it is to each and every one of us. A lot of people tend to say racism is a thing of the past. Why are you complaining? You have good jobs, you live in good houses, and we all get to take the bus together. And it's funny because in our efforts to make ourselves seen and to celebrate the small steps of the past that we've made towards a bigger and better future, we've inadvertently pushed the idea that racism was only a problem when people were segregated, when Martin Luther King had a dream, when Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin refused to stand. And in turn, discussing pushing against racism now has become much, much harder. It's no longer a fight against clear violations to human health and dignity, but rather a push against subtleties and below-radar actions or inactions. It feels like a constant slog, an uphill battle against microaggressions so small that they are barely recognizable anymore. These small, tiny actions that we call microaggressions are only the building blocks, the physical representation of a much bigger problem: institutionalized racism. A type of bias meant to keep people down rather than raise them up. A type of bias that goes unnoticed, unseen until you look at the wider picture. A type of racism that perhaps even unbeknownst to us affects our everyday, our life, our work, our health. It's easy to complain about our society and the many things wrong with it. And I refuse to become yet another just trying to make waves. So let's consider these statistics together. 1. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women. Stillbirth rates of Black babies are more than twice those for white babies. The reason for this disparity is often described as a constellation of biases. Unconscious bias, stereotyping, and lack of diversity competency have the potential to result in health services that disadvantage women from ethnic backgrounds. It has been explored deeply that perhaps Black women don't value their pregnancies as much or have more medical issues than white women, so more complications. Reading an article from Harvard University themselves, they state that 1, a huge reason for the disparity may be racism. It's basically a public health and human rights emergency because it's been estimated that a significant portion of these deaths could have been prevented and that Black women are undervalued. Research reveals that Black women are monitored not as carefully as white women are, and a significant portion of pregnancy-related deaths of Black women were avoidable. This, unfortunately, is a reality faced by many Black women all over the world. The complete disregard for potentially life-threatening problems during one of the most vulnerable times of a woman's life, stemming only from a lack of understanding and a place of judgment from the people they were supposed to trust the most. 2, richer citizens from ethnic minority backgrounds have to send on average 60% more job applications to employers to get a positive response compared to their white counterparts, according to researchers at Nuffield College Center for Social Investigation. Multiple studies have been run to show that despite sending practically identical resumes, changing the name from typically white-sounding names to typically ethnic-sounding names resulted in less callbacks, less interviews, demonstrating just how much the effect of your name and perceived race has on job opportunities. Essentially, jobs are decided by other humans who already have preconceived biases and beliefs against individuals, whether conscious or unconscious, and the result of this is the increased difficulty to get jobs based simply on stereotypes and judgments. Unfortunately, due to the behind-the-scenes decisions in choosing the jobs, these extreme statistics are difficult to see unless they are deeply researched into and exposed. 3, racial profiling by those in power, such as police officers, results in threats to people going about their daily lives. Black people are 9 times more likely to be stopped and searched by police than white people. The story of George Floyd that gripped the world by storm should make us stop to think. How is it possible that so many Black people of various socio-economic statuses, poor and rich, collectively agree that discrimination persists, even in our supposedly post-racial society? For stops under Section 60, where no reasonable suspicion is required, Black people were 18 times more likely to be stopped. In 63% of these cases, the most common reason for justifying the stop was drugs, and the next common reason was weapons at 16%. The Home Office claims that disproportionality does not necessarily show a racial bias. However, considering that Black British citizens only account for 3% of the UK population, these discoveries are concerning. In my belief, stereotypes are the main reason behind actions like this. Stereotyping occurs when you expect a certain group to always act a certain way. It informs people's unconscious judgments, and these people include the police who are supposed to protect us. Even our children face discrimination just going to and from school. I remember at the very young age of 11, going to Tesco's, my 50p gripped in between my fingers before inflation increased sweets to extortionate prices, to buy a packet of strawberry laces. Looking behind me, I found it very strange that the security guard we walked past outside seemed to be following us. Past the first aisle, past the second aisle, the third, while we picked up our sweets, until the till, and until we walked right back outside. I remember feeling confused and violated. Why would he think that we would be stealing? With the money in our fingers and our excited whispers about our school trip coming up, which maybe to him sounded like suspicious whispers of which packet of gum we would steal next. Nothing is being done to prevent these shocking discoveries. Nothing to support those of ethnic minorities as they face aggressions from every side of the British system, in their lives, their work, and their health. Professionals who are supposed to look out for the best in them hold misinformed judgments against them and act accordingly, often resulting in traumatic experiences and sometimes even death because of this disregard. The Commission for Race and Equality published a document in 2021 with these rather and paradoxical collection of statements, and it goes like this. Put simply, we no longer see a Britain where the system is deliberately rigged against ethnic minorities. The impediments and disparities do exist. They are varied, and ironically, very few of them are directly to do with racism. Too often, racism is the catch-all explanation and can be simply implicitly accepted rather than explicitly examined. The evidence shows that geography, family influence, socioeconomic background, culture, and religion have a more significant impact on life chances than the existence of racism. That said, we take the reality of racism very seriously, and we do not deny that it is a real force in the UK. Funnily enough, these factors, such as culture and religion, that are stated to have a stronger impact on outcomes as opposed to racism, are the very factors that identify race or ethnicity. This suggests that characteristics that distinguish one race from one another have a strong impact on the outcomes for individuals. The inability of the Commission for Race and Equality to see this is why racism is still a problem of today and is most likely to be a problem of tomorrow. Because until we can hold our system accountable for the injustices faced daily by ethnic minorities, we can never be free of inequality and we can never be free of racism. I know what I believe. Racism is just as much a problem now as it was before. Right now, somewhere in London, in the areas bustling with the beauty of a vibrant mix of minoritized people, a mother lingers at the door with her son, reminding him, remove your hood, always talk politely, never run, always comply. Racism, by my definition, is prejudice, discrimination, antagonism, or bias faced by a person based only on their involuntary membership of a particular racial or ethnic group from an individual, community, institution, or society in various areas of their life, resulting in a fight for their basic human rights. What does racism look like to you? Open your eyes to our realities and write your own definition. Only when we are aware can we begin to make a change. Thank you.